Welcome students, my name is Cece Holmquist and I am a senior at Point Loma Nazarene University. Come along with me as I share with you some works of art through different cultures with the theme of spirituality. I chose the theme of spirituality because I believe spirituality is a broad concept, but artwork makes its own definition for it. I specifically chose the theme of spirituality to show you all today. I chose gods different cultures worship. Through history and throughout different cultures, we see the theme of spirituality and gods portrayed in different ways. Spirituality resonates with me specifically because I feel I am a spiritual person. For me personally, I worship God whose Son is Jesus Christ. Many people worship different gods though, and we see that throughout history. It is important to be open-minded and learn about the different gods throughout history. I urge you to discover deep within yourself how do you connect spiritually and who do you worship as your God. We will first start our tour with this marble statue of a bearded Hercules. As you know, Hercules was a god of great strength and endurance. He won his place through the Olympian gods and was widely worshipped as one of the greatest gods of Greek mythology. This Hercules statue was found in Roman culture, but in ancient Greek mythology in the early Imperial Age in the years AD 68 through 98. It was made from marble and is classified as a stone sculpture. You may be wondering why he does not have arms or why there is something supporting his leg. It was made a long time ago, and that is why they added a plinth to support his left leg, and they have taken his arms off because of how old it was. They originally restored it, but had to remove it thereafter. The elements I see in this are Hercules and his perspective and emphasis. He is leaning back, therefore represents his superiority, since he is a god. I also see texture in his hair to make it look like the people had their hair in ancient Greek time. The next sculpture we will be viewing, I will show, does not emphasize on his hair whatsoever, because it is a pope and he is wearing a zacchetto. A zacchetto is what popes wear on their heads, so this is a sculpture of Pope Innocent X who reigned in the mid-1600s. This sculpture is made of bronze and is created by Alessandro Algardi in the mid-17th century. Popes are very important in Roman culture during the Baroque period. Popes were believed to be appointed by God and had direct communication to him, so in those ways many people worshipped popes in that time. The art elements I see in this image are shape. They make everything look even, and it is just a head on shoulders which appears strong. I also see elements of texture and design because of the Pope's stall. There is a fleur-de-lis, which symbolizes the divine right of kings to bring people to order. The next person that brings people to order, just like the Pope, is Jesus Christ, and that is why I'm showing you this piece of art as a third piece of art today in our gallery. I chose this piece of art from the Americas called Christ Crucified. It was made in the 18th century and is made of sculpture. The culture is Ecuadorian. Jesus was the Son of God, but is worshipped as a god and is very important to the American culture. The elements of art and design I see are emphasis and line. The sculpture emphasizes Jesus and draws a line to him through the cross. It really focuses on his core as well. That is where your eyes are drawn to first. There's a texture of his ribs that you see, which makes it look shocking and bleak. Also, the other statues surrounding Jesus that you see are looking directly at him, which symbolize emphasis on the main part of the image. Jesus was known to be a loving person who did not fight back as they hung him on the cross, which is very symbolic to Christian culture today, as it symbolizes God's only Son coming to earth and dying for all of our sins. Another God of peace, just like Jesus Christ, is this next piece of artwork that I'd like to show you. This sculpture is from the late Anuradhapura period in the late 8th century Sri Lanka. This Asian sculpture is the Buddha, imparting Dharma to all. Dharma is the name for the teaching or religion of the Buddha. This sculpture is made from copper alloy. In Asia, Buddha is highly worshipped god. I see elements of art and design by the texture in Buddha's hair and his cloak over his shoulder. Also the proportion and perspective of the image. The texture of his hair is short, tight curls, which is worn and projected in a way to show Buddha's rejection of the material world, which is very important to Buddhist culture. Buddha's cloth is drawn over his body, which symbolizes the exposed manner of Buddhism. Also, the perspective of Buddha sitting down in a cross-legged formation brings the nature of peace and allows you to see the image in one concise look. Since I just showed you a piece of artwork that was a god sitting down, I want to show you another piece called a statue of Anubis, where Anubis is a god and he's standing up. This sculpture is made from plastered and painted wood during the Ptolemaic periods between the years 332 to 30 BC. This Egyptian piece of art was a worshipped god called Anubis, who was said to greet the deceased in the afterlife and protect them. This is a god of mummification, as the sculpture is a human with a jackal head and a long wig. The elements of art and design I see are color, texture, perspective, and pattern. We see the color all throughout the sculpture, which is cool given the time that it was made in, but probably was dyed from different dyes that they had back then. Also, the texture of both the jewelry and the elaborate feather garment and the pleated skirt on bottom. All this goes to show the wealth and the high prestige of this god. The perspective of him standing up also shows that he is very prestigious, and you would probably be meeting him at the entrance of the afterlife, as the Egyptians believed in. Thank you so much for taking this museum tour with me. I hope you learned a little more about the gods of different cultures throughout the world and throughout different time periods. As you ventured through different areas on the map and different gods, I want you to think about how each culture, even nowadays, have different gods that they worship, and think about how you grew up in whatever culture you did and why you believe in the God that you do.